We're here at the US-Mexico border. This is a place a lot of people have heard a lot about, but not many get the chance to actually see.
So we're going to investigate, talk to some people, and learn about what this is really like in El Paso, Texas.
If you just go up this road, bro, like 10 minutes, bro, this road meets up right with the borderline right there. You can just see it. Like, yeah, it's kind of sad when you see like mothers and children come out here, man, and they gather them up like animals and they just put them in the back of the vans and these cars, and they sit all day, bro. They'll sit down there all day in that bus, bro, and then I don't know if they have air conditioning because it's pretty, you know, they treat them pretty bad. They're always up and down. I've seen this town be patrolled more than any part of the El Paso.
So seriously, every day they'll come and ask you if you're American.
Yeah, every day. If you're not recording, man, if you're not doing anything, they'll come and just come and ask you, you're an American? They'll pull right in front of you. You can be walking right here. They'll jump right into traffic. They'll pull over, turn on their sirens. What are you doing here? You got a license? You got an ID? You got any form of identification? It's annoying sometimes. You get all like, I don't know, like they let their badge get to their head sometimes, but somebody got to let them know they work for us still, you know what I mean? Even the police and everybody else, you know, we as taxpayers, we pay for your stuff, you know what I mean, in order for you to have all this equipment to protect us or to protect us. They'll come and they'll just try to hide under my porch and stuff like that. They'll try to hide in this little tractor that belongs to my landlord. That little truck over there, you'll see them. There used to be a house right here. I don't know if you can see where those tires are. There used to be a house right there, but they just tore that down like not even like a year and a half ago because they found like 2 immigrants that were dead in there. They've been there for like a week and stuff like that. They get dehydration pretty fast because I don't know, the water over there is not too well. So they usually just try to get as fresh water they can and then try to just run as fast as they can to get to that road right there. And by the time they get to that road, either their family's waiting for them in another spot, and you pick them up and take them before the border patrol cars come.
What do you feel about the people who cross the border?
Just people trying to make it in life, man, I guess, you know. It's nothing too much. Most of them got a family here. Some of them don't. Some of them's trying to make it so they can bring their other family here. Yeah, look, as you can tell, the leftover Gatorade bottle from Mexico over there. Somebody tried to cross and they just got caught right here last night. Oh, man. It's just sad sometimes. You see some children and their moms are just running and their dads are really, like, they're just trying to stay caught up with them and they're just dragging their children behind, and their children are so hungry and thirsty. They're just trying to play catch up with their parents and stuff. It's pretty brutal sometimes, but one day this world's gonna be a better place.
Run out that way! This morning, new details from the massacre in El Paso.
Other people were hiding under tables as bullets flew by them.
All I want to do is find my mom. Somebody needs to tell me where she is. I want to know if she's dead or alive or if she's still in Walmart.
On August 3rd, 2019, a 20-year-old man from Allen, Texas, which is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, drove 10 hours across the state and wound up here in this parking lot where we're standing. And he said that he was committing what would become this horrible terrorist act to, quote, stop the Hispanic invasion of Texas. So after posting the screed, he got his AK-47, which is a weapon he had purchased about 2 months earlier online, along with 1,000 rounds of ammunition, walked through this parking lot. There was a girls' soccer team. He opened fire on them. The girls mostly saw him coming and were able to run into the store and largely escaped unharmed. The coach of the team and the father of one of the girls, a gentleman named Memo Garcia, was shot. And he went down right over there. The gunman then proceeds further into the store and starts going up to cash registers and begins shooting people waiting in line. After the people had fallen with gunshot wounds, he went up and fired additional rounds into them. The gunman came back out. There was an elderly couple that was driving just down this road here as he exited the store, and he pointed his rifle at them and shot them both in the head. right there, and they were killed instantly. There were about 1,500 people in the Walmart that Saturday morning. 8 of the 23 people who were killed that day were from Mexico. 15 were from El Paso. Most of them were Mexican Americans, but there were also black victims, white victims that day. It turned out to be the most deadly racist attack on Hispanics in the nation's history.
What's life like in Juarez being so close to El Paso? Does it feel like it's one big city, or does it feel like it's separate?
Well, I consider it myself like a big border community. You have life in both sides. If you want to go out and maybe grab some drinks or hang out, you can go to El Paso. Or maybe people from El Paso will go to Juarez. In our business, we have clients that live in El Paso. So we have a back and forth life.
And what does that life feel like? How does that community feel?
It feels very natural. We feel like home here. We don't feel like traveling or anything. It's just like a normal thing to cross the border and say, we're going to go to El Paso, yeah.
What was the effect of the Walmart shooting on your feelings?
On us?
Yeah.
Well, for us, it's a bit different because we were at the store when it happened. So that's why we paused it a bit to coming to El Paso, because it took time to feel safe again. It was weird. It was like you just can make your mind up what you just lived. And every year we just try to come and honor the victims and remember their stories or get to know a bit more about them. And when we come, we also visit here, or maybe try to go to the same Walmart and go to the memorial that they have there.
With time and with therapy, we got to a point where we felt comfortable, and even to be near the store, right?
As time has passed, I think I have processed it in transforming pain in a way positive way to honor the victims. The city of El Paso and its people gave a really good example of how to support victims. They created like a victim center.
Yeah, the resilience.
And you could feel loved, you could feel respected, you could feel seen. And it was something that I have never felt.
How does it feel to feel that?
I'm remembering and I'm gonna cry. It was something really special because like you have all this trauma, and then everybody's like seeing you and taking care of you, and how can I help, and you can even think straight. So I think they gave a wonderful example of unity and support, and that's why we're here.
President Reagan did sign the sweeping new Immigration Reform Act today. He said it protects the sacred possession of American citizenship. Millions of illegal aliens will be eligible for amnesty and will be able to apply for legal residency status, no questions asked.
As it is today in America in 2024, the last time you had truly comprehensive immigration reform was in the 1980s when Ronald Reagan was president. You had an update to our laws in the 1990s, but really since then there has been no significant action, which means that if you are in Mexico, for example, or the Philippines or India, and you want to migrate to the US to join a family member and to work a job here and to contribute in some big or small way, whatever it is that you want to do, and you want to do it here in the US, your wait time at the back of the line today is 20 years. And it helps to explain, even if it doesn't justify under the law, why people would try to cut that line.
Antes de el tiempo de El Paso, ¿dónde estabas?
Juárez.
¿Y por qué moviendo aquí?
Por mis hijos, para educación, para trabajar y todo eso.
Todo es para su familia.
Sí, todo es para mis hijos, mi esposa, todo es para ellos. Yo todo lo que hago lo hago por ellos, por tener una mejor vida con ellos y para ellos.
¿Y cómo fue tu experiencia viajar?
Muy mal, casi me quedo sin agua en el desierto, me ando perdiendo, pues casi no sobrevivo y casi no llego, no vivo para contarla, y gracias a Dios estoy aquí.
¿Cuándo crucé?
Hace 2 meses.
¿Cuánto tiempo necesitan
para obtener los documentos?
Pues es que eso es lo que estamos investigando, porque pues como yo no vengo con asilo político como otros venezolanos, pues yo soy aquí ilegal, indocumentado, no tengo ningún papel, ni mi acta, ni mi ID, nada.
¿Tienes familia aquí o?
No, nomás mi única familia es mi esposa y mis hijos.
You would not travel 2,000 miles with your 2-year-old daughter and face every manner of depredation and risk, riding not inside of but atop a train known as the Beast or La Bestia, crossing the border here at the Rio Grande River, which is lined with concertina wire, not just on the shore and not just next to the wall, but our current governor has literally laid that wire in the river under the water line so that you become enmeshed, entangled, you drown and you die. Proof of this is you look back 5-6 years ago, there were 6 total deaths in the El Paso sector of migrants trying to come into the United States. Last year, it was 149 people. These are kids, these are moms, these are families doing what you and I would do if faced with the same choice. To stay here where I am means to die, or means that my child will die. So I must leave. And that's exactly the choice that these people have made.
¿Qué son tus piensas de la política de el federal gobierno de
Pues de
los
que a veces están un poquito mal, porque pues nosotros venimos a trabajar, no venimos a hacer nada malo. Queremos una mejor vida para nosotros y para nuestra familia. ¿Tienes sueños, hija?
Policía.
Policía.
Quiero ser doctora.
This was our first time in Texas, and coming from Chicago, we tend to feel pretty removed from the realities of life near the border. So we wanted to talk with professionals who could speak on immigration policy and the many misconceptions that Americans have about El Paso.
My name is John Barella, the President and CEO of the Borderplex Alliance based here in El Paso, Texas. If you haven't grown up here, virtually everything is perceived in a wrong way. And I don't mean to sound arrogant, I don't mean to sound like people don't get us, but they don't get us. With the Democrats, I am most disappointed by their continuous campaigning on a humane and viable immigration system. Whether it be the Obama administration, frankly, who had a supermajority for the first 2 years when he was president to truly effect comprehensive immigration reform, even to get DACA done. He had the votes in Congress to do it, but failed to do that. I can't tell you today what the Biden administration's policy is on immigration. It zigs, it zags, it changes day to day to day. And I can tell you that whatever they've come up with is not a humane approach toward immigration. I can tell you that under current law, 90% of the people who are in this country with an asylum claim will not be successful in pursuing that asylum claim under current law. It's just not going to happen. So if these people show up to their hearings, they most likely will be deported because they've been lured here with false pretenses, one way or the other, because there's been a lack of clear direction from this administration on asylum policy, quite frankly.
People think of the wall and they're like Trump.
Right.
But why was this built under Obama?
Well, it really started with 9/11. When the attacks on the U.S. during 9/11 took place, we were in I think a state of shock, and also looking at Homeland Security to such a degree that we even start a whole agency called Homeland Security. And so part of the studies that they were looking at is like, okay, what does security look like at the southern border? And it was determined at that point that it would be strategic to put some sort of physical barrier on about 1/3 of our land border with Mexico, about 700 miles out of about 2,000 miles. That was determined in halfway through the Bush years. So then you pass the Secure Fence Act, I think in 2006, and from then on the fence is being built. So it's being built under Bush, it's being built under Obama, and literally the first 2 years of the Trump administration, anything that was being built was decisions made 10, 15 years earlier, not anything that was being made under the Trump administration. So a lot of even news agency would be like, hey, Trump's wall. No, it was like, these were just ongoing decisions. So that's a good question, like why do people think that? And I think that's the strong narratives that exist about the border and the narratives that get used to invoke fear, and they've sunken in so deeply into our society that almost everyone arrives at the border thinking it's a war zone. Even, you know, liberal, conservative, most people arrive afraid. And then after spending a day or two or three here, they're like, wait a sec, this is one of the safest, most welcoming places I've ever been. I'm not trying to say there aren't challenges. There's definitely challenges, and on a global level, we have unprecedented people on the move and being forcibly displaced.
They believe the city has overextended itself and should be putting the tens of millions of dollars earmarked for migrants into Chicago's most vulnerable neighborhoods.
We have schools that need to be reopened.
The failure here is on multiple levels. Since Joe Biden took office, nearly 6 million migrants have crossed our southern border. And the Democratic politicians in New York and New York City believe that we should be a sanctuary city and sanctuary state. They believe we should not cooperate with ICE or law enforcement officials. And they have used taxpayer funds to provide free housing, free healthcare, free education, free food, free clothing. We now have had over 100,000 migrants come to New York City in just the last year. They can't handle it.
And so we are having to deal with that here in the US. But a lot of it isn't necessarily our border policies or the border wall. It's related to massive geopolitical movement and natural disasters and economic instability and political instability and persecution. And if we're not dealing with some of those large-scale issues, then there's only so much our border policies are going to affect that movement.
The Republicans view this simply as border security, and that's it. And while there has to be an element of border security in any kind of comprehensive immigration reform, our country's economy grows with immigrants. And so if you're a conservative and a person who believes in business growth, believes in more opportunities for all citizens, including newly arrived citizens, why you should support comprehensive immigration reform, the Republicans can't get their arms around why these DACA residents, millions of whom are currently contributing to our economy, paying taxes, not getting into trouble, because if they get into trouble, they will be deported. I don't understand why Republicans can't at least support a codification and a citizenship path for DACA residents. That is something that I don't understand fundamentally as a supposedly a pro-business party, a party which believes in providing U.S. enterprises with a competitive edge. By the way, these people who are in our country, DACA recipients, potential recipients, are incredibly well educated, good citizens, paying taxes, give our country a competitive edge against China, and yet we can't give them a pathway to citizenship. I call it like I see it. I'm a bipartisan critic, a nonpartisan critic of administrations and Congresses who do not have the political will to get this thing done.
We're losing out on talent, on renewal, on people who choose to come to this country to do better for themselves and then to do better for all of us. We're losing out on people who could fill some of the millions of unworked jobs that we have open in the United States right now. We're losing out on people who make communities like mine great. El Paso is one of the safest cities in America, one of the strongest, one of the most successful. And it is all of those things, not in spite of the fact that it is a city of immigrants. It is all of those things precisely because it is a city of immigrants.
Traditional big media outlets, what do they get wrong about El Paso?
Everything. They get everything wrong. They make this sound like there is a huge zombie apocalypse of migrants that are coming over and they're gonna kill our children and they're gonna rape our women and we all need to be afraid. And these national journalists who parachute into El Paso don't spend enough time with real El Pasoans. They don't look at the data. They come in with a preconceived idea of what this community is about, and it's easy for them to just report on that than to actually put in work to understand who and what we are. You know, this August 3rd event, it's a deep wound. It's a deep wound. But I think it's really important. You didn't see the anger bubble up with this. You didn't see people in El Paso then go to this guy's town and, wreak havoc. You didn't see that because it's not who we are. I think we can do better. I don't believe that I'm being unpatriotic when I say I think we should expect more. We can be more, we should do more. We don't because sometimes it's inconvenient, right? Sometimes we're afraid to get called on the carpet. But I don't think there's ever a wrong time to do the right thing. My grandfather was a World War II POW MIA. He loved this country. And I will tell you that he had a tattoo on his forearm, and it was 2 flags. And one was the American flag and one was the Mexican flag. And he loved both those countries equally. But he made it very clear to his children, like my mom and aunts and uncles, and thus to us, that we were American first. Our loyalty was here, and that remains. And at that same time, I can hold more than 2 feelings at a time. I love this country, and I think we can do better.